Welcome to Search Talk Live with search engine optimization and marketing experts Robert O'Haver and Caleb McKelvin, powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
Welcome back to another episode of Search Talk Live. I'm Robert O'Haver. You're getting a twofer this week.
Oh, yeah.
2 shows for the price of none. No. Those of you tuning in for the first time to Search Talk Live, I want to give you a little bit of information on our show. We talk about everything that's digital. We talk about search engine optimization, search engine marketing, conversion optimization, you name it. What is it? Content marketing, everything.
Oh, yeah.
We cover it all. But you can, if you're listening to us not on our website, searchtalklive.com, you can go there and download past episodes. In about a week, we're going to be on national on iHeartRadio, which is pretty exciting for us. We are also on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spreaker, and many other places. You just have to Google us. But and today, my co-host, Caleb McKelvin, is here.
What's
Caleb,
up, man? Ah, there it is. The applause. Doing good today, Rob, man. We are back in the studio. Felt like it was just yesterday, but it was actually 2 days ago. But awesome show on Tuesday. If you happen to miss it, go check it out. You can go to searchtalklive.com. You can go to previous shows and download it. And you can also find it on Spreaker. A lot of awesome information that we had on that show. Really good one. And we have another awesome show today. Like you said, we got our second one this week. So if you're tuning in with us, you're getting a special show. Because with us today, we have Bill Slawski. Bill, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Yeah, doing good.
It's a lovely day out here in San Diego.
Oh, very nice. San Diego.
It's always 75 degrees or something.
Right. Perfect weather constantly. All right. Now, Bill, we know you're the founder of SEO by the Sea. You're also the director of search marketing at Go Fish Digital, correct?
That's right.
Awesome. And now, if you could, just for our listeners who might not know who you are, could you kind of share, kind of your background, what you currently do, and some little information about yourself?
Sure. I started doing SEO in the 1990s. I helped a couple friends build a website, and I started promoting it, and then search engines started showing up. We got an email one day saying, "Hey, you might like this site," and it included a link to Alta Vista. And we looked at that and said, "How do we get in there? Let's figure this out."
Right.
And it allowed you to submit URL by URL to Alta Vista. You couldn't submit a whole site, but you could individual pages.
Yep. I remember.
So we started doing that. And there were frequently asked questions told us things like you could have up to 1,024 characters in your meta keywords tag, which seemed like a lot, but trying to figure out some of those arcane rules of how they wanted sites set up seemed like a worthwhile thing to do.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, Google showed up. So repeated the process, learned as much as we could about how they wanted things done, and tried to do them.
Very cool.
Very nice. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. So now, so you write for SEO by the Sea. Can you kind of tell folks what that is, what kind of information they could find there?
Sure. I started SEO by the Sea in 2005. The original idea was that it was going to be a guide for a free conference in Havre de Grace, Maryland. So it was SEO by the Sea. And ended up having the conference. A few people showed up. We had talked to SEO. It ended, and I had a blog and a need to fill it with stuff. And I started writing about patents because I'd read a few, and they helped me with some SEO I was doing for a site I was working on.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, keep on doing it.
Right.
Keep on learning. Keep on sharing what I learn. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Right.
Great. Now,
So
I'm sorry.
I've been at it for over a decade now.
That's a long time. That's a lot of writing.
A lot of changes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just because people might be thinking, because we do have a wide range of listeners on the show and some that are just getting into SEO and kind of learning the whole online marketing field might not necessarily understand what a Google patent is. So, and we might have to get elementary for a sec, but could you just describe kind of what a Google patent is and how it affects individuals' websites?
Okay, sure. Patents have been around since the United States has been around.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you write up and file with the government a description of an invention that you want to pursue, and you share what the invention covers, and your filing that protects your right to use that process you've described in the patent for 17 or so years without competition from other people. You can exclude other people from using your process described in your patent. So I looked at those and I figured this is a good way to learn about the businesses of other people. What are these search engines filing in patents? What types of intellectual property are they protecting?
Right.
So, there were a few, when I first started doing it, there were a few I wrote about that gave me ideas, like one that described how search engine might identify definitions of topics and include those definitions at the tops of organic search results, above the search results, and link to the sites the definitions were from. I said, that would be good having some definitions show up in search results for sites I'm working on and having those free spots at the tops of organic listings. So I followed the directions that the patent gave on how to get definitions from your site showing up in search results, and it worked.
Huh.
So I tried that, following directions and ideas from patents since then. And some of them did work really effectively.
Yeah. Now, how do you differentiate? Because Google files many, many patents. So, and even for future search, and they take a long time to get those patents approved. But how do you know which ones they're actually using? Because there's been a few that I've seen that they've actually filed, but they're not using.
You
trial and error.
It's one way to do it. If there are 100 new ones one week, and you read through the ones that sound like the most likely might be implemented, you've got a good shot at finding a few that will.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's interesting what you do see. I wrote about one about 5 years ago or so, and I called it the Reasonable Surfer patent. PageRank was known by the people of Google as being following the random surfer model.
Yeah.
Where links are what power PageRank and make it work.
Right.
And publishers, when they publish links on a website, provide places for people who visit their sites to go, to link to click on, links from. And they refer to that as random surfing. So this Reasonable Surfer patent said, we're going to look at the links on a site and determine which ones are the ones that people most likely are going to click on. So that link to terms of service on a web page, it's probably one most people aren't going to click on.
Right.
Right? Links that tend to be in the main content area of a page, that maybe have some type of anchor text that stands out in some way, are more likely to be clicked upon. Right. So let's give those more page rank than the terms of service links.
Right.
So it said we're going to no longer just split up all the links on a page and give them equal amounts of page rank. We're going to vary the amount of weight that we give each link based upon how much it stands out, how much it features something that is interesting. If the text is bigger than the rest of the text on the page, if it's brighter, if it has other features that make it stand out somehow, we're going to give that link more page rank.
Right.
Okay, so a new version of this Reasonable Surfer patent came out this past week, and it describes in the claims section how it differs from the first version.
Right.
And one of the differences is that they're going to pay more attention to the anchor text used in links to decide whether or not to give those links more page rank. Which, we just recently had people Google say we're no longer going to show you toolbar page rank.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which may have led a lot of people to think page rank's gone. But here we're being told we've got a new version of this Reasonable Surfer patent that says we're splitting up, we're definitely paying more attention to links that stand out more on pages.
Huh. That's some good information.
Yeah, that's kind of contradicting what they're traditionally saying, especially as they don't necessarily pay attention to, necessarily what the keyword in the link is, and kind of page rank is now falling off the map. And now they're saying, well, actually, they're going to pay more attention to that. Do you think there's any specific reason why they might be communicating that message?
I was wondering that. There's a place to go on the Patent Office website where you can look at the patent prosecutor's statements about a patent and whether or not they think it should be granted or not.
Right.
And the people who filed the patent can argue with the patent prosecutor and file amendments. The patent prosecutor filed a rejection of this Reasonable Surfer patent and then changed his mind, agreed with the people who filed it, saying you are giving more reasons why you might give more PageRank weight to some links.
Yeah.
You're being more definite with this new version of the patent. So we're going to grant the patent.
Mm-hmm. Huh. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's it kind of sends mixed messages, but I mean, you kind of understand why they would go that route. I mean, is there anything here lately, Bill? Because, I mean, your blog is, the SEO by the Sea, is chock full of information. Even the last one that you had wrote, I think it was yesterday. But is there anything kind of that's happened very recently that has kind of struck you as odd, or some kind of information that, just people, website owners and SEOs need to know?
The one from yesterday was really far-reaching.
Yeah.
It was really a departure from some things that we've seen at Google, because it involved touch screens and mobile devices.
Oh, right, yeah.
And people visiting a website, finding something that they wanted more information about, a certain entity, say a business like a restaurant, and using the touch screen and circling that entity. So you might circle the name of a restaurant that shows up on a web page, and Google would then give you a choice of actions that you could take with that entity, like get driving directions or book a reservation. And that would happen right on that web page. It wouldn't happen on Google search results.
Yeah.
It would happen on the web page itself, which is something that made me wonder, how much would most webmasters like that? Probably not that much.
Right.
Yeah.
But the fact that it might lead to customers they might like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would definitely seem to be beneficial for certain niches and kind of have its downside to others. But I mean, I guess it's all in the idea of give them that direct choice. And, you know, instead of having to shift through all this stuff, you know, you have that choice right available to you. I guess that enhances the user experience, could be one of the reasons why they would want to go that route.
You would probably let webmasters make a decision as to whether or not that would work on their site.
Right.
Yeah.
Sort of like a no archive tag.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. So what is
I could see that happening, and the thing is that it would go beyond just search results pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the whole web, just about any page on the web.
Right.
Yeah. Have you heard any? Have you seen anything with Penguin and changes to that patent?
Actually, Penguin, I can't say that I've seen any patents that indicate that they're related to Penguin. There were some patents from the mid-2000s that talk about manipulative links and so on.
Yeah.
But nothing that really you could read and say, this probably has something to do with Penguin.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, the Panda, there were a couple of patents that made you say, this probably has something to do with Panda.
Yeah.
And the guy who the Panda update was named after, Navneet Panda,
Right.
he admitted that on his Google Plus bragging rights section of his Google Plus profile.
Huh.
That he was the father of the Panda update.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Search Talk Live with Robert O'Haver and Caleb McKelvin. If you would like to call into the show and ask a question to one of us or our special guest today, Bill Slawski from SEO by the Sea and Go Fish Digital, you can at 855-722-0006. That is 855-722-0006. Or you can email me at caleb@searchtalklive. I got my email pulled up right now. Or you can hit us up on Twitter at Search Talk Live and get your questions in. We also are powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies. You can go to robertpalmercompanies.com and check out everything he has to offer, from RP funding to RP title, saving thousands, and beyond. A lot of cool stuff at robertpalmercompanies.com. Now, Bill, I know this is kind of a generic question, but it's something we like to kind of ask SEO experts as they come on the show, because it seems to be there's surprisingly a lot of different answers and new answers each time. But kind of what do you see trending in SEO, in online marketing, some of the changes you see happening that experts need to adapt to? Kind of what's your outlook for not only this year, but kind of beyond?
Well, one thing I've been paying a lot of attention to within the last couple of years, and probably will be paying attention to more of, is the semantic web and schema markup.
Yeah.
I think when Google brought the knowledge base out and said we're going to be focusing upon things and not strings,
Yeah.
I think that was something people had to pay attention to. Start paying more attention to. Because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of it. The patent I wrote about yesterday, where they identify entities on web pages and provide actions that you might want to take with those entities.
Yeah.
I've been putting schema markup on websites a lot and looking at knowledge panels that show up during certain searches. Even the ones from, there's one that started showing up for me when you search my name. and I made sure that I provided information about the social networks I'm on. And now that those show up in that knowledge panel too.
Yeah.
My LinkedIn, my Google Plus, and my Pinterest page.
Right.
Yeah. Do you with that schema markup for the knowledge graph? Have you found any secret sauce to making that show up more often? Or, I mean, obviously, you can't control that, but
you can't submit and create a freebase entry anymore.
Right.
But that would have been a good thing to have done.
Yeah.
A freebase, if you look up an entity on Freebase and you look at the description at the top, they give you something they call a machine ID number. Mm-hmm. And the machine ID number you can see in other places on Google now too.
Yeah.
Like in Google Trends. Google Image Search uses machine ID numbers to classify images that you can search for. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like Google's taking a shortcut to providing search by better identifying the things that it might use in answers.
Gotcha.
By tracking them with machine ID number.
Yeah.
So you have a Arnold Schwarzenegger as a potential answer for queries people have, except he went under lots of different names. Mm-hmm. He was governor of California. He played Terminator, Kindergarten Cop. He was Danny DeVito's twin.
Yeah.
All classic movies, by the way. All classic movies. Kindergarten Cop's one of my favorites.
Uh-huh. So Google no longer has to keep track of all those different names and entities. They can say, oh, he's machine ID number such and such.
Right.
And it makes it easier for them to do what they do.
Could you search by that machine ID?
What's that?
Could you search by that machine ID?
There is a knowledge graph search API.
Gotcha.
And you can search by that machine ID using that, or by the name of the entity. Huh. You can get yourself an API key and use the API and search right in a browser address bar, putting a string for the knowledge graph API in there. Right. I did that not too long ago with Darth Vader. And the second result I got, because you can tell it give you an unlimited number of results. Mm-hmm. So the second result I got for a search for Darth Vader was Dick Cheney. So I guess at one point, people in Washington were joking around about Dick Cheney and Darth Vader being based upon him.
Yeah, I saw a picture, at the end where when he's dying and the helmet's taken off, someone put his head in his place.
Dick Cheney's head.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. So somehow that ended up in Google's knowledge graph.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
So I use that knowledge graph API when I'm working with new clients. I look up their business. Gotcha. And see if Google says that the name of their company or their product or whatever are associated with certain types of things that you might not expect.
Yeah. And then how can this is for the listeners, how can you differentiate the knowledge graph from, the Google business places? They're very similar. The knowledge graph is more about people, right? and definitions and stuff.
No, not necessarily. So over time, Google's been working on a knowledge graph on and off since 2005 or so, much earlier than the 2012 launch of the knowledge graph that we saw on Google. They had something they called the annotation framework, and they hired a number of people to work on things like a knowledge graph. They called it a fact repository. They had 12 or 13 or so engineers working on this. They were filing patents, and one of them came up with the idea of Google Maps database of business entities, which are not, it's pretty much a proof of concept of the knowledge graph.
Gotcha.
Because it's indexing not pages, but it's indexing entities, business entities. So when people talk about local search and they talk about NAP, name, address, phone number, and being consistent with that information in citations across the web, that's how you rank higher, by having lots of citations and having them consistent.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get into local search for a sec, Bill, because I know that's something you talk on as well. You're kind of the jack of all trades, so to speak. Some of the things we hear when people talk about their local business or local website is they can't really necessarily compete with some of the big name brands, and some of that, especially when it comes to the e-commerce side of the web, the internet. But when somebody kind of says that, what's your kind of response to that from a local-based business when they can't compete with those big brands?
You've got to be careful that you're being consistent. I worked for one SEO agency, and they asked me one day, why aren't we ranking in maps? And I looked at their website. They had some old documents on the website that had an old address on them. They'd started out as a business at an incubator, and they had press releases that had the old address information on them. Google could index that. It could tell it was confused what address they were actually at. And they weren't ranking well because they were sort of beating themselves. So being consistent, being smart about how you get links to your site, how you get mentions of your business and the location information associated with that helps.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're not consistent, you're basically sending mixed signals to the search engine, and they don't necessarily where you're located, who you are, or which one to actually trust.
Right, and for local search, it's that consistency and those multiple mentions that are really important. It's not links.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've worked with a few businesses where they liked ranking well in local search because it helped increase the phone ringing in their office. They had more people calling them.
Yeah.
Because someone would do a search for the type of business they were and get a 3-pack, and it was easier to rank well for the 3-pack than it was to rank well for organic search. And it led to more business more quickly for many people. So, that's one way that a local small business can beat a larger business.
Right.
Yeah, and I preach that to anybody that starts a new site or just getting started in a local business with a website, to get those local citations. So extremely important. I mean, it gives you some links to your site right off the bat, and they're not considered spammy, or they're
trustworthy.
They're quality.
Right.
So definitely a good way to get started. And if you're a unique business, I mean, it even gives you that much more help, you know?
It's been a while since Google used to say on their guidelines pages to get links from directories. But they still seem to like links from business location directories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think niche directories have those have died out for a little while, but those local citation directories are still pretty important.
You know, back in the day when links didn't matter, I mean, when they mattered, but they didn't matter where they came from, you know, that was a big thing. Those giant spammy directories were being used like crazy.
People were submitting to them right and left.
I did have somebody last year ask me about whether it was worthwhile or not getting a link from DMOZ.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people still think that one's important, but...
Yeah, I have had luck one time with that, but I don't think it matters anymore.
Yeah.
It's not even worth the effort it takes to get it.
Right.
I mean, it's good to have a link from there, but like to actually get it listed it's don't hold your breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
right. I'm not sure how active their editors are these days.
Yeah, they're probably not. There's probably nobody really sitting there checking everything coming in.
Especially with Yahoo up for sale, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Google had a version of DMOZ in their Google directory they gave up on 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They had a patent for that. They said that the difference they provided with their version of the directory was they ranked sites listed in it by PageRank.
Huh.
So the higher your PageRank was, the higher you were listed in the Google directory, which is their version of DMOZ.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you seen, like anything recently with all the, with RankBrain? Anything on that? Have you read the patent for that?
I did read one patent that talked about synonyms and substitution rules. And, RankBrain, when Google announced RankBrain, they told us it was about rewriting queries. And they'd take something that might be ambiguous and try to better define it and find results based upon synonyms for the terms that may have been used to query about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did write up a patent about that, but the patent didn't talk too much about the artificial intelligence, the machine learning aspects.
Yeah.
RankBrain.
Well, I'm sure they don't have the patent that says RankBrain, Panda, Penguin.
Right.
Unfortunately, right?
That would make it so much easier.
So I've been reading as much as I can about artificial intelligence at Google, and some of it just sort of rubs me the wrong way. Google bought a company called DeepMind from the UK a couple years ago for £500 million. So a paper that DeepMind put out said that they're teaching, the title of the paper is something like teaching search engines to read and comprehend documents.
Yeah.
And so part of the process behind artificial intelligence is to find sites that you can use as training places for your processes. And DeepMind said, okay, we're going to use a British website, news website called the Daily Mail, and another one called and also CNN, because they liked the way that both of those are formatted. Mm-hmm. And they would have their artificial intelligence read those to learn about the world and entities in the world. And reading that stuff would help them rank things, supposedly. It just reminded me of the Daily Mail is sort of like Britain's answer to the World Weekly News.
Gotcha.
It's very popular, and sometimes some of the stories are sort of questionable. They're often scandalous, and you wonder, why would Google choose something that was equivalent of a soap opera,
right,
to learn about the world with?
I look at it as it's more of like a, almost like that. I forgot the name of that movie, AI, where the kid's learning because he's real young, and as he gets more and more intelligent, he starts to understand the world or whatever. And I kind of apply that to Rank Brain too. So I don't know if that's a good analogy. I'm really bad at analogies, but
the analogy king.
But if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Bill Slawski. We are Search Talk Live. We talk everything digital marketing, SEO, search engine optimization, same thing.
Yeah.
SEM, SEO, everything, you name it. Social media. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather today, guys. But anyway, Bill, another thing I wanted to ask you to kind of touch on here is what are how do you feel about having this AI, or not AI, machine learning, not the same thing, but within our search, kind of commanding what's relevant, what's not.
Okay, so one of the things that we noticed when before Panda was introduced by Google was that a lot of people were complaining about the quality of search results. And I'm wondering if AI or RankBrain is leading us to have questionable quality of search results again.
Yeah.
How well do we monitor those? Search is such an integral, important part of our lives because it's how we learn things, how we learn new things. So if we do searches and rely upon the answers we find in search results, and we're having Google lead us to asking questions about medical issues and so on. So it's becoming more integral, more central to our inquiries about the world and how we treat it. Are we hurting ourselves by relying upon artificial intelligence? We've been told that people at Google don't always realize how artificial intelligence is ranking things.
Yeah.
Is that a direction we want to travel in?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Now, here's another question for you. Rand Fishkin recently did a test, so to speak, and as far as he went to a website and said, "Okay, everybody, I want you to click on this particular, do a search for this, click on this particular site," and what he was doing was seeing if Google was registering clicks to the site, and helping that being a factor in ranking. Once he did this, I think it went from, I think it was 12 all the way up to second position.
It was page 2 to page 1
in search results. And now it didn't stay, but have you seen anything on the patent as far as that goes?
Yes, I did. I did see a patent that talked about click-through rates like that and how they might be used to change the rankings of certain things. And that's the search results that you see that you're choosing from to click upon aren't necessarily the actual documents that are ranked. you're just seeing shorter representations of those documents, a title, a snippet,
right.
a URL. Mm-hmm. You're basing a judgment as to whether or not to visit a page based upon that information.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you're not seeing necessarily the whole thing, and you're choosing to click based upon that limited amount of information. Mm-hmm. Should your clicks on those limited search results influence the ranking? If the ranking is based upon the whole documents,
right?
It's sort of like a question of whether or not the thing that's mapping them, mm-hmm. the search index, the search results that you see, might have more value than the actual documents themselves.
Yeah.
If you base rankings upon those snippets.
I just thought that was an interesting test. I mean, because he did give him instructions to not pogo stick off the site, but go to another page, spend a couple minutes or a minute on another page or whatever, just to test that out. And sure enough, I mean, it only lasted for about 6 hours or so, but then it started going back down. But it was an interesting
right.
test.
And some of the people from Google who've remarked upon that have said, sometimes you do have certain behavior in the world where people do target certain subjects. Mm-hmm. Some topic gets really hot for a certain period of time.
Right.
Maybe because of something on TV or something in the news. So people search for it more.
Right.
And that burstiness, and that's a term that's sort of a technical term to reflect how information flows through a network.
Right.
It doesn't happen at an even pace. Sometimes people visit the same places all at the same time. Mm-hmm. And if you follow network traffic, you can see that, and they refer to that type of traffic as being bursty.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens at search engines too, where people walk across the country are watching the same TV show, maybe a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So it's on at the same time all across the country. And somebody shows up during halftime, they say, "I've never heard of this person who's performing. Let me look them up." And then everybody looks the same thing up at the same time, which means a lot of traffic to the search engine. It's sort of a bursty type traffic. And for a little while, they become very popular on the search engine.
Yeah.
Right. But, I mean...
trending, so to speak.
I just think it's interesting because we had John Mueller on the show, a couple months ago? Or a month and a half ago. And he's like... clicks to sites and they don't measure that. you can't deny that if that kind of thing is going on,
Right.
And it's been tested and proven. But
yeah,
there was I remember a question at a search conference somebody asked, and they said, "Does Google track that type of behavior, clicks and so on?" to determine whether or not spam is going on. Mm-hmm. And the answer was, sometimes traffic to some sites happen for a reason. And during that time, there were tsunamis happening in Asia.
Right.
And somebody had launched a blog. They called it the Tsunami Blog.
Right.
And the Tsunami Blog had links to Red Cross and other charitable organizations that people could click upon and donate to help victims and survivors. It went from not existing to being a PageRank 8 website within a period of about 2 months. And just had phenomenal amounts of traffic to it because it was very popular, very trendy, very helpful.
Yeah.
I've seen some other sites that have grown at that type of pace too, because of news, because of lots of people finding value in them.
Right.
Right.
You know, it doesn't happen too often, but it does happen sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you think a site could honestly be kind of grow and I'm saying this right, be sustainable and be consistent if they go after just content like that? Or, do you need to have a foundation of evergreen content as well? Because, I mean, things are always trending, and it seems like it could be a hit or miss, so you're kind of living on the edge, it might seem like.
I've seen SEOs try to make sites that were evergreen.
Yeah.
And do things like remove dates from blog posts to make search engine think that those blog posts were just published, which isn't how a search engine determines whether or not something's evergreen.
It goes from the first index, right?
No. They look at links pointed to a page. And if people keep on linking to that page, it's still got value.
I gotcha.
Right.
I was just wondering if it went from the first time it was indexed to saying that's the age of it. Not necessarily popularity, but I'm saying when it was actually
that's how they would tell what the age was first time they crawled it.
Right. Yeah, right.
They would tell the people still found value in it by looking at a history of links pointed to the page.
Right.
Yeah.
And whether or not people kept on linking to it.
Yeah. Gotcha. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to Search Talk Live with Robert O'Haver and Caleb McKelvin. That is right. We are live this Thursday. We're usually on Tuesdays. We did have a Tuesday episode. You can go check it out at searchtalklive.com or on Spreaker. Just search Search Talk Live. Today we have a special guest, Bill Slawski, founder of SEO by the Sea and the digital director of search marketing with Go Fish Digital. You can check out seobythesea.com and all that he has to offer. A lot of awesome information, which we were talking about today. Bill, we did have a question from a listener. They asked, they haven't gotten a link from some major sites, but they've gotten mention from major sites with some high domain authority and some major publications. Does that carry any weight, or does that matter at all?
Mentions can be helpful from a semantic web point of view.
Right.
They're not necessarily helpful from a Google PageRank point of view.
Yeah.
And Google does still seem to be using PageRank as a metric that influences rankings. If you're interested in having a knowledge graph show up for your business or for yourself, the semantic web mentions can help with that.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Very good.
Well, we got a question on Twitter for you.
Okay.
What is the potential evolution of conversational search?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, so one thing that search engines have been doing more of is trying to understand entities and when they show up in queries. Paul Hare gave a presentation at SMX West called How Google Works, and that's one of the things that he mentioned in his presentation, that one of the steps that Google takes in interpreting a query is to start off by asking, does this query have anything to do with an entity? And sometimes they do. People might ask, who is the President of the United States? Mm-hmm. And that's Barack Obama. So someone might follow that question up with, who is his wife? Using a pronoun, his, instead of referring to actual who he is. But the answer is Michelle Obama. And what Google's doing there is they're using what's called a co-reference. They're saying, okay, they're tying together the two queries.
Right.
And saying, okay, the second query is referring to the first query.
Yep.
And the entity in the first query. So to a degree, Google's piecing together queries, and they're identifying entities within queries, and then they're seeing if subsequent queries are related to the previous ones asked.
Yeah, and I've done some testing with that, and it's pretty amazing, I think. I mean, it's just mind-boggling sometimes.
Yeah.
But let's see. You got anything else for him?
Let's see. I'm trying to see if we have any questions.
Yeah,
email.
I wanted to bring this up too. Like me and Caleb were talking about this earlier. I went to a restaurant. I mean, they're doing a lot of cool things with mobile now. And I was in a restaurant at I ain't going to name the particular restaurant, but as I was sitting down eating, I had a pop-up on my phone that asked for a review of the restaurant that I was sitting at. I thought that was really intuitive, and I thought that would be good because that for a local business, I think that's really huge. I mean, because before it was kind of a disconnect. If you're trying to get your customers to give reviews, they have to go out of their way to do it. But
right.
now it's kind of here.
You give it right to them, put it in their hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes a big difference.
Okay, so the websites that you're looking at on your phone don't track you with things like cookies.
Right.
They take an ID number from your device.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an Android device, it would be an Android ID number. If you have an Apple device, it would be an Apple ID number.
Right.
They can tell who you are from that ID number from your device and track you on it. If it's a store that maybe you have a desktop account with,
yeah,
and you log into that, and then at some point you log into that website on your phone,
yeah, they
can associate the ID number from your device with your account.
Sure. Well, in this particular case, I wasn't logged in any app or anything. It was off a GPS where I was located at the time.
Right. So I mention this because we're growing in the area of things like beacons.
Yeah.
Which can tell that you're nearby, tell that you've accessed a website maybe.
Yep. And it's serving ad.
Or it can just tell that you're nearby and say, okay, pay attention to me.
Right.
Because I'm a beacon, I'm here, you're nearby. Answer my query, my question, read my newsletter, subscribe to my webpage, visit aisle 37, row 2.
Yeah. We have another question from David on Twitter. You know this guy. What are a favorite set of patents phrase-based? Historic ranking factors. I'm not sure what he's saying there.
I know what he's saying.
Okay.
So he's referring to a set of patents from Google that involved phrase-based indexing that were by an inventor named Anna Lynn Patterson, who invented the world's biggest search engine in 2003 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it indexed content from the Wayback Machine.
Oh,
Okay, so if you wanted to do a search on a certain topic on the Wayback Machine, all the copies they had of web pages throughout years and years, her index would be the thing that did that. That showed up in 2003, and it disappeared in 2003. Google purchased it, and they hired her not too long afterwards.
Wow.
She created this phrase-based indexing, and what it did was it would look at all the top 10, top 100 or so websites for a certain query and look at all the words that appeared on those pages.
Yeah.
And say, okay, these words, these co-occurring words and phrases are important to the query. If you did a query for baseball stadiums, you would end up with a bunch of pages that had words on them like left field, pitcher's mound, concession stands, and so on. So pages that tended to have those phrases on them would be pages that would be boosted in search results because they had those co-occurring words appear upon them. And I tried that out in a few pages to see whether or not it made a difference for ranking of pages. And it did. It also said use those co-occurring words, we'll refer to them as related phrases, as anchor text, pointing to pages, and we might give those pages a little bit more page rank because the anchor text is related in a meaningful way.
Gotcha.
Very cool.
Yeah. Now we're running out of time here. I want to thank you for being on the show. If you'll hold on until we get done with the outro of the show. Again, thank you so much.
Yes,
a lot of insight and information there on patents and stuff.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. Now, guys, you're listening to Search Talk Live. Tune in next Tuesday. We have Michael Strecker, formerly of SEM Rush. We're going to be talking link building and
Panda, I believe.
Link earning.
Yeah, link earning. Yes.
But and Panda
or Penguin. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So tune in, guys. Thanks for listening. Thank you for support. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Search Talk Live is a presentation of the Robert Palmer family of companies.